man, we are back. It is CouchPotatoGM.com is the website. Couch Potato General Manager is the YouTube channel. You know it because you are on it. Do me a favor, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I promise as a Bills fan, you're going to like what we're going to have to say. Nah, I really don't know if you're going to like what I have to say. But just watch the video and then hit the like button. Hit us down in the comment section. Let us know how you feel about it, whether you hate it, you like it, whatever. You know, I drink purple Haterade for breakfast, so it's all good, along with my eggs and bacon. But we're here to talk about...
Wakey, eggs and bacon.
You know about it? Do turkey bacon? You do turkey bacon?
Yeah.
I do eat
They probably
bacon.
unsubscribed. Turkey bacon.
They probably did, man. I do real bacon, man's bacon. But anyways, we're talking about the Buffalo Bills off-season preview.
I like it.
2019 edition.
2019, man. Before we get into the preview, we're going to recap the 2018 season. The Buffalo Bills drafted Josh Allen, number 7 overall. They ran out the Nathan Peterman experiment. They had A.J. McCarron also in the mix.
It was a trial run.
The trial run, man. And in totality, the offense was subpar. The Bills offensively finished 3rd worst in points scored and total yards. You know, Josh Allen did a lot with his legs. You know, he led the team in rushing.
Wasn't Shady?
Nah, Shady was hurt. Wasn't Chris Ivory. Wasn't Marcus Murphy. Wasn't none of those guys, man. But he just had to improve as a passer. You know, certain guys came alive. Robert Foster came alive late in the season. Zay Jones. So you got a couple of young receivers right there. But right now for the Buffalo Bills, their offensive line is an issue. They have to revamp that offensive line.
They went out and they got Spencer Long from the New York Jets. I don't know if he's any better than the center you had before, but I know he was injured last year. Hopefully that can work out. But you know, I know you're talking about Josh Allen's got to improve as a passer, and I know you got some numbers for me. But what I'm going to tell you is, who the hell was he throwing the football to? Because you know, Zay Jones, you know, he had his issue, you know, before the season started. And then you talk about you know, Charles Clay.
Yeah, he's...
where's Waldo? Can we find him?
Obviously,
this team needs
I'll do you one better.
Okay, yes.
I'll do you one better.
I know him.
There it goes.
I'll do you one better.
Go.
Kelvin Benjamin was the number 1
Wow.
with his team.
That's pretty
Kelvin
bad,
Benjamin was the number 1.
KB?
Yeah.
270 pounds?
Yeah, that guy.
Let me ask you
Tight
something.
end?
Yeah.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Where do you go to school?
Florida State.
What's your college?
Hey, man. You
No. What's your college?
Florida State. Hey, man. But did KB catch a championship winning touchdown for the Gators? Nah, he caught it for us, man.
Okay.
Jameis.
And then he ate everything.
Hey.
He ate everything.
He got paid. A lot of money. He got paid.
At any rate.
Hold on. Before we get, let me just put the cherry on top on the Kelvin Benjamin thing. Josh Allen asked his man, "Hey man, you know, let's you know, just do the warm ups, you know, before, you know, let's get warmed up, you know, let's." Yeah.
That's a good point.
Nah, I'm good.
That's
That's the kind of guy you don't want on your squad, man. And I'm glad
Cancer,
he's
man.
up in there. He's up out of there.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, talent obviously is important, but work ethic, nothing really trumps that.
Nope.
You know, when it comes to the NFL, when you have so many guys who are talented, you know what I'm saying? It's usually the guys who work hardest, study hardest, prepare, attention to detail that really separates themselves. So certainly he was not the poster child for that. As for Allen, you're right. There's a dearth of receiving threats out there. Of course, there are questions along the offensive line. Not so much in terms of pass protection, although they could stand to improve there. There was some quick pressure on Allen. But Allen also didn't see open receivers. And when pressured, you know, generally you see quarterbacks, their completion percentage declines when pressured, which makes sense, obviously. And as guys get closer to that 50%, you're like, okay, all right, what are you doing? You know what I mean? You start asking questions. Well, Josh Allen was at 28%.
When pressured.
When pressured.
Completion percentage.
His completion percentage when pressured is 28%. Again, when guys start edging to 50 and falling below 50, you know, an antenna goes up. What's going on? At 28%,
yeah, I'm blitzing him all day.
I'm sending more than you can block at all times. So he certainly has to develop, and we knew this. We knew this coming in. That being said, his athleticism has helped to extend plays. Now it's a matter of cycling through those reads. The belief is that he will be put in positions, Allen that is, to be more successful, to mitigate some of that pass rush, to find those hots as he becomes more comfortable in the offense, as he garners experience and recognizes certain blitzes, he'll be able to deal with them more effectively. The overall theme I have for the Bills 2019 offseason is do not reach for need. Do not reach for need in the draft. You can overpay in free agency. You know, just the nature of the destination isn't necessarily going to be the most appealing to some free agents. It's just the nature of the beast. So you may have to overpay in that sense. That's fine if you're dealing with proven talent. But in this case, we're going to get to the draft here in just a second. I'm of the mindset that yeah, Josh Allen needs more weapons around him, but build from the inside out. Be patient. And to mitigate the Kyle Williams loss, to add a 3 technique, to improve the offensive line, I think that's where it starts, and then you can get to the perimeter.
You know, speaking on the Buffalo Bills and that defensive line, Kyle Williams, he's retired right now. They drafted Harrison Phillips, but he's more of a bigger guy. He's not a 3 technique. He's not going to shoot the gaps.
He's going to take on that double team.
Exactly. And Starling, who they brought in, is similar to Harrison Phillips as well. So they need a guy that can get that quick jump off the line of scrimmage and get to the quarterback from the middle. That's the fastest way to the quarterback.
Absolutely.
And at 9, there's a guy that's slipping down draft boards because of his size, and his name's Ed Oliver. And you put him in as a 3 technique. I think he's one of the top 3 most talented players in this draft, man. It's just in Houston, they kind of played him a little bit out of position. They played some nose, some 5 technique. They had stunts where he goes wide before he goes up the field. It's just, no, you want him like where Aaron Donald plays. You want him to be right there. Geno Atkins is another 3 technique. I don't know if I want to.
You don't throw Gerald McCoy in. He didn't say Fletcher Cox. He said Gerald McCoy.
He said 3 technique, and that's the first person that popped in my head. So I'm
Get out of here, man.
It's because you said Geno Atkins, really. But go ahead.
Geno Atkins, actually.
Gerald McCoy.
But yeah, so and Oliver's right there. If you want to think of the offensive line position, there's going to be a lot of edge rushers, quarterbacks being picked before the Buffalo Bills pick. So you can have your pick at best offensive lineman. You got Jonah Williams, Cody Ford, Jawan Taylor from the Gators. So it's going to be a lot of options there for the Buffalo Bills in the trenches. And I agree with you, man. Don't reach for, you might see a DK Metcalf or Hollywood Brown. That's sexy. But I think the Bills, like you said, should build from the inside out.
I agree with the inside out. I don't think you're necessarily going to have to draft an offensive lineman, because in my plan, in my Bills plan, go back to the blueprint, pull it up, and you got almost $80 million in cap space. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go get me a Trent Brown if he's available. You know, he played fantastically for the. He was tremendo for the New England Patriots
in the playoffs.
In the playoffs is the whole season, bro.
Regular season, he struggled, man.
Okay, they're haters, but check the numbers. But I'm gonna go get me a Trent Brown. I think he's 26 years old. Yeah, obviously, you know, you have was it Deion Dawkins?
Yeah, I like Deion.
Deion Dawkins is the left tackle. You put Trent Brown at the right tackle. However you want to do that. I think that for me, I know Shady is the guy. I know he's the guy, but I think you need another running back. Can I go and get me a Mark Ingram? How about a Tevin Coleman? How you feel about that? Is that?
I don't hate it. You got a lot of cap space. I don't hate it. I think you could probably address that in the draft, but I don't hate it because I like both of those backs quite a bit.
And then as for the edge, we need pass rushers, right? You just fixed my middle, but I need edge rushers. Let's go get a Brandon Graham, and let's go get a Dante Fowler that seals off my edge. Now my line
on top of Hughes.
On top of Hughes, of course. Why not? We got money. We got $80 million. Let's spend it. You know, let's spend it.
Let's go.
Blow the chips, man.
Let's blow the chips, and let's get this team. Let's get this defense where Sean McDermott wants to go with him and Leslie Frazier. Because we know what a Sean McDermott defense looks like when all the pieces are in place,
especially the front four.
That's very important. Because their back 7 was, their back 4 was solid, right? The secondary.
Love their safeties, Poyer and Micah Hyde, Tre'Davious White. This is an All-Pro as far as I'm concerned.
Who's playing opposite Trey White?
Teron Johnson,
young player. Up in Levi Wallace, I think, was out there too.
Yeah, he flashed too.
Who's Levi? Who's that? Where's he from?
Bama. Yeah. Our conversation has been centered around the trenches on either side of the ball. And of course, again, I'm sure there are folks who are like, what about the receiver? We have a young quarterback and we don't have enough weapons around him. And I'll go back to my original point. If the value isn't there, do not reach.
Yeah.
All right, be patient about it. I think Hollywood Brown is probably the one guy at this juncture of the evaluation, that I'm comfortable saying is a first-round pick. You know, you can go sexy and go on that route, but I'm gonna tell you this right now. It doesn't matter if the quarterback isn't afforded enough time to get the ball, push the ball down the field. You understand what I'm saying? And more importantly, I think what will help a young quarterback is play action.
Yeah.
All right? Whether he's turning his back to the defense or not, RPO, whatever the case may be, play action is important. In order to run play action, you have to be able to effectively run the football, and the Bills could not do that last year. You know, when you look at PFF's grades, you know, the Bills' offensive line from a pass protection standpoint wasn't bad. From a run blocking perspective, they were terrible. They were awful.
Shady averaged like 3.2 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Sean McCoy, one of the most elusive backs in football. So
hurt or not hurt, that's unheard of. That's unheard of. And their inability to establish the line of scrimmage was detrimental. It was detrimental. You're playing in Buffalo. You're playing in the elements. You know, you got a physical defense. You're trying to set the tone, control the line of scrimmage, and you can't. You're getting pushed back. You're getting walked back into the quarterback or walked back into the running back. So again, at that 9th overall pick, regardless of what you do in free agency, I'm of the mindset that you need to go back in terms of addressing the trenches, whether it be edge rusher, interior pass rusher, offensive line, whatever the case may be, shore up the line of scrimmage, and then the other things will start to take shape. And be patient. Be patient, because Josh Allen still has a lot of developing to do. There's no question about it. You understand what I'm saying? Of course, having weapons around him will help, but eventually you will get to that point where you look at free agency. Drew, you talked about, you know, you got a lot of cap space. Let's go spend it. There's no clear-cut number one available in free agency.
No.
There isn't. So don't force the issue. We're not convinced that there is a bona fide number one in this draft. We think there are guys with number one talent, worthy of a first round pick per se.
DK Metcalf.
But in terms of just no brainer, it just doesn't exist. So don't force the issue.
You know, when I look at the Bills and I think about this team and the position that they're in, you know, a lot of teams are in a position where they got a lot of holes, they don't have any money, and they're picking too high, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the best thing for them would be to trade down,
Sure.
obviously. Or, you know, teams just have a million holes, but they have a lot of cap space, and they are picking high. But that's not a good position because there's so many holes. They don't have enough money or draft picks to fill all the holes. I look at the Bills and I feel like y'all have enough cap space, as well as you're in a prime position to get a player that would help your team. You don't have, like Juice's been saying, to not reach. You're in a position so you don't have to reach. So I think they're in a prime position to, you know, fix things, like you like to say, Headley, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And this is, I'm not saying you're gonna run the table this year, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's pretty damn light. Looking at the light right here, it's almost as bright as that.
There is reason to be optimistic.
Yeah.
There's reason to be optimistic. I think there are going to be some more growing pains, particularly from the quarterback. But there's reason to be optimistic, considering, as you said, where they're positioned financially. You know, you got that quarterback on a rookie contract, so that obviously offers a lot of flexibility. You got some young players that are really, really excellent football players. I think, you know, the nation may not necessarily be familiar with Trey White, but Trey White's a special player.
Oh, yeah.
That's a special cornerback. You know what I'm saying? He's one of those guys where, okay, you covered the number one and forget about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He has that kind of ability. Terrell Edmonds, his continued development will go a long way. You know, getting those defensive tackles in place in front of him. Him now having an additional year of experience, you know, obviously maturing a little bit because he was a very young player coming into the league. He could do that as well. So yeah, the Buffalo Bills, they are in a sweet spot. They are in a sweet spot. In fact, you know, if the Buffalo Bills love one of those top edge guys, because there's questions about Shaq Lawson, the long-term viability of him being in Buffalo and the injuries he's dealt with. If they love Nick Bosa or Josh Allen, whatever the case may be, they can climb that draft board too.
I wouldn't object.
They can climb it too. Considering the amount of cap space they have, they may be able to stomach losing some additional draft capital. You know what I mean? Because they can address those things in free agency. So yeah, it's a great position to be. They have a lot of flexibility.
No, I agree, man. And you know, you brought up a guy I wanted to bring up was Shaq Lawson, man. Shaq Lawson, I like him coming out of Clemson, dealt with injuries. last first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Split some time with Trent Murphy last year, and you know, I think he's one of the most important players on the Bills roster right now because I know he has talent, but you know he needs to get his weight under control, his work ethic, and all that. If he could be one of those 10 sack guys, it's opposite Jerry Hughes. I think that will go a long way for the Buffalo Bills, especially if they get.
He's not gonna get 10 sacks if we got Dante Fowler and Brandon Graham, though, according to Drew.
Oh, that's
it. Ain't happening.
$80 million, I can spend it. I got guys, proven guys who've done it. I've seen it. You know, Shaq Lawson, we still waiting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And let me ask you something. Is this Brandon Bean's guy? Is that one of Brandon Bean? Yeah, okay, that's where I'm at with it.
I think Rex drafted him. Remember that guy?
I think he's on TV somewhere.
His brother dude's got a job. I heard.
Really? Why?
He's like, why? But yeah, man, Matt Milano was a good addition, man. He played pretty good for them last year, also.
I think. I mean, you know, again, Buffalo. You know how Bills Mafia does it. You know how they do it.
One of the best fan bases.
Buffalo's a regional team, and they have a tremendous fan base, but they are a regional team. They don't get the national coverage that some of the larger market teams get.
Yeah.
But there are good football players in Buffalo. There are some really good football players in Buffalo, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. A player or two defensively, and we're talking about, I mean, just a year ago, they were one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, they're not very far off from that. You know, it's the concerns that I'm sure folks have in terms of what are we surrounding our quarterback with. But again,
can we block?
You got to protect him first,
Yeah.
first and foremost, and not just him. You have to be able to open up rushing lanes, make play action viable. To me, whether they stay pat at 9, trade down, trade up, or whatever the case may be, address either the offensive line or the defensive line in the first round.
Let us know, you know, what would you do? How you feel about, you know, them sitting at 9? Would you trade up to go get one of the premier pass rushers like in a Nick Bosa, or are you good sitting at 9? Or would you go for an offensive lineman? What are you doing in free agency? What is your Buffalo Bills hashtag? What is it?
Bills Mafia.
Bills Mafia blueprint for this offseason for the Bills, man. Let us know.
Yep, like, comment, subscribe.
Is in the